Hi guys, welcome. Today we are going to make a fresh summer salsa recipe that we are going to can up to have on our pantry shelves for this winter. It is probably the best salsa I have ever tasted. It's from Melissa K. Norris's Everything Worth Preserving book. It is on page 260. It is absolutely delicious. So what we need for this is 12 cups of tomatoes, 2 cups of onions, 1 cup of bell pepper, cilantro, jalapeno peppers, garlic cloves, salt, lemon juice or lime juice, and vinegar. So I would like to welcome you to my backyard Kentucky homestead. My name is Kim, and let's get started. I have already washed the tomatoes, so we're going to do an X cut on the bottom. It's going to make it a whole lot easier to peel the skin off once we blanch it. So I'm just going to go through. So it doesn't have to be deep. Just a little bit, just on the bottom. It'll allow for the water to get under the skin, helps to lift it, and it also gives us a good place to peel it off. Okay, as with other things that we need to peel, we're going to go ahead and blanch these. We'll start with the small ones first, since they'll take about the same time. Do that for about 60 seconds. And we will go ahead and take these out and dump them into cold water. So the next step is going to be to peel each of these. And then we'll core out center. And then what we'll do after that is just chop them all up. At that point, I will measure how many tomatoes I have, and that will determine how many recipes I can make with this. Because I don't know what this amount of tomato will generate, but we need 12 cups of peeled, cored, and diced tomatoes. So I'm going to work on this, and then we will be back. So we have 12 cups of crushed, sliced, diced tomatoes. In this bowl, we have 1 cup of green bell pepper chopped up, 6 jalapeno peppers chopped up, 1.5 cups of fresh cilantro chopped up, 2 cups of onion chopped, and then 15 heads of garlic. So we're going to go ahead and dump this in to our 12 cups of tomatoes. Smells wonderful. Garlic and the cilantro are just yum. So the onion, the tomatoes, the peppers, and the garlic I grew in my garden. I had cilantro out there, but it wasn't quite enough, so I did have to go to the store to get that. Okay. To that, we are going to add 1 tablespoon of non-iodized salt. This is pink Himalayan salt. You could use sea salt. We're going to add 3/4 cup of vinegar. You want to make sure when you choose vinegar for canning, it has at least a 5% acidity level. They are, for some reason, starting to sell some that has less, but you need at least a 5% acidity. The recipe calls for 1/4 cup of lime juice. I don't have that, so I'm going to use lemon juice. So with the lemon juice and lime juice, you could swap those out with the peppers. You could also swap those out. If I did not have enough bell pepper, I would have used some of my shishito peppers or red Barsky peppers. Anything that's, depends on how hot you want it. As far as the jalapenos, I could have used some of my serrano or some of the other hot peppers, but I had enough of the jalapeno. I did remove the seeds because I don't want this to be super hot. But you can swap out the peppers for equal amounts of different kind of peppers. You have to keep your ratios up. The pepper to the tomato, to the onion, to the garlic, to the cilantro. You need to keep those all equal, but you can swap out the types you have. As far as the tomatoes, I have all kinds of tomatoes. There's paste tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, some slicing tomatoes, or medium sized slicing, not the big beefsteak, but just all kinds. And the garlic and the onion is all just what I had from the garden, so they're all mixed up. So we're gonna bring this up to a gentle boil and let it boil for at least 10 minutes. Last year when I made this, I let it go a little bit longer because I wanted it to be a little thicker. And it worked out very well. So we'll bring this up to temperature and then we will be back. So we brought this up to a boil and we're gonna boil it for 10 minutes. And in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and get the jars into the canner so that they will be hot and ready to go when this is finished. Okay, so our salsa has boiled for 10 minutes. Our jars are warm. So we are going to go ahead and fill them. So use a funnel and a ladle. We want to have 1/2 inch of head space. I have my debubbler. So we're just going to make sure with a liquid like this, it shouldn't have bubbles. But just to make sure. Okay, we'll double check our 1/2 inch. Okay. And then I've got vinegar in this bowl. I'm going to use a paper towel. I'm going to wipe the rim to make sure that we don't have any food. Another thing you can tell when you're wiping it is if there's a nick in the rim, that will prevent the seal from adhering. You can feel that when you go around it. And we'll put our lids on. Put our rings on. Fingertip tight. Put these in the canner. If you ever put the ring on and it doesn't feel right, go ahead and take it off and redo it. They will sometimes cross thread, which would prevent it from sealing correctly. Okay, and we will get these into the canner. So we're using the Presto digital pressure canner. I'm going to be, ow, hot, don't do that. We're going to be using this on the water bath canning for this item. I do have a metal plate that comes with the canner at the bottom. If you are using just a regular pan on the stove, you want to make sure you have something between the pan and the glass jars. Could even just be a kitchen towel. It won't catch on fire because it's completely submerged in water, but you do not want the jars touching the actual bottom of the pan. We'll just get these in here, and then we will fill it up with water. We do need to ensure that these are covered like 1 to 2 inches of water. I messed up earlier, forgot to put more water in one of my batches of peaches, and I had to process it all over again. So if you do mess up, you have to start the timer over totally. All right, so we have hit the cool down and we are done. So we can go ahead and take the jars out of the canner. Looks good. You want to be careful not to tip the jar because it could siphon, pulling out some of the salsa in between the lid and the jar. So then it won't seal properly. So I'm going to keep it straight. And just let the water that's on top just naturally dissipate. So now we will let this cool for 12 to 24 hours, and then we will check to make sure all the lids have sealed. And it looks like a couple of them already have popped. So you can see, there goes another one. They go from being buckled towards the top to going inside. So when the lid seals, it takes that little center ring, and right now it's concave up. No, just went down. So it pulls it down towards the jar and makes it flat. And it actually looks like every one of them is sealed already. So yes, really good. But we do want to let this set at least 12 hours before we mess with them. When we do, we will take the rings off, wash them up, label them, and then we'll be able to store them. We ended up with 7 jars of salsa. They all sealed. I have cleaned them up. I removed the rings. We don't want to store any canned goods with the rings on it because it could create a false seal. So say this were to come loose, but the ring is still on tight, it could force it to reseal, but it is not safe now because it was exposed to the air. So there could be bacteria in it. So we don't want to save, or we don't want to store these in the pantry with the rings on. I have labeled it, and we're good to go. If you're interested in learning more about other canning projects, check out these videos. I'm canning peaches, peach preserves, strawberry preserves, pinto beans. I'm gonna do some corn salsa, crushed tomatoes. So keep an eye out for those videos and check those out. I'll see you next time. Have a great day, and bye.